Hi, I'm Graham Jones, and this is Whole Notes. We just learned about time signatures and how big each of the measures are. Now we'll learn about what we filled in all with. Now for exemption, if you know how many of these fit into this time signature in a single measure, you can move on to the next episode. If you're not sure, get ready for some math. Now, I talked previously about how quarter notes and eighth notes got their name, and this applies to every note. In a 4/4 measure, however much a single note fills up, however much space, that's how it gets its name. So for first off, the whole note takes up 4 beats, so it takes up the whole measure, and that's how it got its name. Half notes take up 2 beats each. Quarter notes, like we talked about, take up 1 beat in 4/4 time. Eighth notes take up half a beat, and there are 8 of them. Then you have even smaller 16th notes. 16 of them fit in a measure. So every 8th note makes 2 16th notes. And finally, 32nd notes. There are 32 of these in a measure. So those aren't the only notes that exist. There are dotted notes. And what dot does is adds on half that note's duration to the note. That's a little confusing, but you can work through it. So a dotted half note with a dot there, a half note takes up 2 quarter notes, 2 beats, and so half that's 1 beat, so 2 plus 1 is 3. Also, another notation is to tie a note. Anytime you see this black line between 2 notes, it's the same note tied together. So you add up both their values, 2 and 1, making 3. Then you have something like a dotted quarter note. Now a quarter note is 2 eighth notes put together. So half of 2 eighth notes is 1 eighth note. So giving you 1.5 beats. And the tie there is 1.5 beats. And over here, you have a dotted whole note. Now you won't ever see this in 4/4 time, because if anything, you can't exceed 4 beats in a single measure. So this won't exist in 4/4 time. But in things like 6/4 time, it does, or it can. And so there's 2 half notes, plus another half note to make 6 beats. Now you can't have 6 beats put together in 4/4 time, but there's a bar line in the way between measures. And so a tie will make that 6 beats long. Now let's move to some other notes that you won't see all the time and aren't your main notes. Now you learn about times like 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, and also 6/8. And there's a difference between the two. Now with 2/4, you have these things called triplets. You can. And triplets take up a single beat. So if your beat goes 1, 2, 1, 2, then triplet notes will sound like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. Now 6/8 time naturally has that triplet feel. In 6/8 time you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And sometimes in 6/8 time you'll see eighth notes. And they take up 2 even beats, just like 2/4 time. But that's not natural rhythm. So you have to note that with a 2. So you get 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. When naturally 6/8 time feels like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now for today's exemption. I asked how many of these notes fit in 3/4 time. Well, first off, what is that? Here's a quarter note that takes up 1 whole beat. Then the eighth note gets 1 line over, like you've seen when it's by itself. Then for every subdivision it gets another line through it. So this is 16th note because it has 2 lines. And 32nd note would have 3. So the question is, how many 16th notes fit in 3/4 time? Now you might say 16, but that'd be wrong because 16 goes with 4/4 time. And measure 3/4 time you only have 3 beats. So it's 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda. So that's 12 beats total. Now for our next episode, it's time for some R&R. Or at least the first half of that. We'll talk about rests.